colors have meaning. Colors can convey a certain emotion. They can communicate to a person who's viewing those colors feelings or thoughts. So today on Art by Rick, I'm going to do a 16 by 20 canvas painting. And I'm going to do the painting where I'm going to try to convey the feeling of anger. I call this an anger painting. Now, how am I going to do that? Well, I need to choose my colors very carefully. I also have to choose the technique that I'm going to use to do the painting in order to convey anger. When you think of anger or being angry, what do you think of? Do you think of being out of control? Chaoticness? Being ready to lose it? Being mad? Being upset? I mean, what comes to mind when you think of anger? So if you read all the different theories about color and what they mean, one of the commonalities that comes up when you're thinking of anger is the color red. Red denotes anger. Red denotes being careful, just like stoplights are red, right? Red is danger. It's dangerous. But also, colors like orange or maybe even yellow can denote the same kind of thing. If you think of looking at an open flame, what color is a flame? Orange and yellows, right? Maybe with a little bit of white if it's really hot. And you know that's danger. You're not going to put your hand in a fire, correct? So to do this painting, I'm going to use red, yellow, and orange. But in order to even start it, I need to have a base color. Now, what do you think would be a base color to do an angry painting? You'd want something dark, something base, right? So I'm going to pick black. I think black would be the color I want to use. Now, in order to do this painting, I'm going to use some special tools. I'm not going to use any brushes, and I'm not going to do any pouring. I'm going to do some splatter techniques, and I'm going to use a palette. Basically, this kind of tool here. This is this is actually something I picked up from a cake decorating shop. This is the kind of knife that you would use for spreading frosting on a cake. I like the length of it because it lets me cover a pretty good area of the canvas all at once. The regular paint palette that I would use, or the paint tool that I would use, is this one right here. As you can see, it's shaped just like the one for doing frosting. I mean, if you look at the two of them together, they're basically about the same kind of tool. This one here for paints has a little bit more of an angle. I think the idea here is to kind of keep the artist's hand, away from the canvas when they're spreading the paint, where this one is a little bit deeper because you're working a little bit closer. But, they're interesting. Interesting tools that are going to allow me to kind of get really going here on this particular canvas. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the setup of the canvas itself, the colors that I said I was going to use, and we're going to do a black start with this painting. So let's get started. Okay, to start this painting, I have the camera zoomed in on a 16 by 20 canvas. Again, this is just a stretched white canvas. This canvas is over wood. I haven't sealed the back of it because I'm going to go pretty light with these paints. One of the things about these canvases, the larger ones, is if you don't seal the back of the canvas, sometimes you're going to get some warping, and I've had several of my paintings warp on me. So I'm going to be using a smaller size here because I don't want that to happen. I'm going to start off with this particular tool here. And we're just going to do some black paint. And what I'm going to do with the black paint is I'm going to put some dots here on the canvas, and then I'm just going to kind of smear across it. Just kind of a smearing kind of a motion. And then I'll let that dry, and then I'll add more colors to it. So let's begin. All right, so I'm ready to begin this painting, and I'm going to use the black that I have here. Like I said, in this painting, I'm going to use a lot of red. I'm going to use some yellow. I have yellow here. and I might add some orange and do some other things. But for now, I'm just going to use the black paint. And really, all I need to do with this is I'm going to use the paint directly out of the particular bottle, and I'm just going to kind of helter-skelter it like that. And then I'm just going to use my palette knife to basically do some streaks on it. And that's it. That's all I'm going to do. Just some angry streaks, some black paint on there. I'll let this dry and set up, and then I'll come back and add some additional colors a little bit later. All right, now I've let this set up overnight. One of the things about when you're doing a painting like this is sometimes the paint, as you're spreading it, you'll get some thick spots. So in order to keep the paint from blending together and do a layering look, you have to let each color dry. So this one took overnight to dry. So it's all dry on the canvas, and now I'm ready to add my second color. And because this is an angry painting, I'm going to add this color red. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to make just some crazy lines on here with this paint. And I'm going to smear it using the tool that I used before. So I'm doing the same technique here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of get myself going here. And now I want to smear my red on. So here we go. And that's all I want to do. Just real simple. Just some red splattered on there. I don't want to mix too much. Now I'll let this set up, and then I'll add a couple of more colors to it. So now the red has set up on the painting. So now here comes the fun part. We're doing an anger painting, so we need to make this painting angry. And how am I going to make it angry? Well, like I said, I'm going to use colors. So I use the black as a base, and then I put some red, which is it symbols anger, anything red. And now I'm going to use some yellow and some orange. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to do some angry painting where I'm going to kind of slap a little bit. So I'm going to take my orange and I'm going to kind of blop it on the canvas a little bit like this. Just kind of blopping it. And then I'm going to take this yellow and I'm going to add some yellow, and I'm going to do the same thing with this. It helps if I open it up, doesn't it? Okay, so we'll open this up. Sometimes, you know, that they put the seals on these, the paint so thick it's hard to get it off. But anyways, so it's a new thing of paint. So I'm opening this one up. All right, sorry for that delay. So now I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. I'm just going to kind of streak it on here. And then comes the fun part. This is what I call the angry part. Now remember, I have my two tools here. I have the two tools that I'm using, my cake spreader and my regular palette that I'm here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slap. I'm going to kind of beat this canvas up and beat these colors around. So let's see what we get here. So let's do a little drumming. All right, so there we go. We kind of beat the canvas. And this is kind of the angry flames that I was saying that I was looking at. Now I'm going to tone this down by adding a little bit more red a little bit later. But what I've done basically is I've taken my two palette knives and I've kind of just beaten on the canvas a little bit just to get the color spread around. So there we go. So now I'll let this dry and then I'll do some more stroking on it and some more lines and we'll count this painting done. Now that I've laid the orange and the yellow on the canvas and given it a chance to set up, I want to lighten this because there's a lot of orange that's in here. So I'm going to go back to my red. And what I'm going to do with the red is I'm just going to allow myself to spread some red on here a little bit. Not too much. Again, I'm going to use the palette that I've been using, this knife here, and I'm just going to kind of spread through the red just to give a little bit more red on here. And because it's still a little bit wet, I'm getting a little bit of the mixture of the orange and the red in the colors here. There. So now I'm going to add some black on top of this, and I'm going to use my good cake spreader here, my cake spreader knife. And what we're doing with this is I'm going to just make some interesting lines on here. And to just add some insult to injury and to add a little bit of a personal taste to it, I'm going to use my hands. I'm going to make a little bit of a mess here. But because this is an angry painting, what would anger be if you didn't punch something out, right? So I'm going to take my fists here and I'm going to punch this a little bit. There you go. So now we have a little bit of an angry painting. Now I'll let this set up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple of companion pieces in the same color to kind of make this a set. So what I've done now is I've picked two canvases. These are 11 by 14 stretch canvases. The two together are about the same size as the one that I just did, and these are going to be the companion pieces to the anger painting that I did. So I'm going to use the same color, and I'm going to basically use the same technique. Only these companion pieces are going to be more of a blend. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm just going to use my paints to kind of put on here, and I'm just blotching some of the black paint on. I'm also going to do some of the red that I have here, because again, these are companion pieces. So I'm putting some red on here. I'll bring in my yellow. So I'm adding some yellow on here. Yellow. And of course, some of the orange. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to basically beat up these canvases a little bit to allow these paints to kind of mix together, because again, I'm making a companion piece or companion pieces to the ones that I just did. So again, I'll use my spreading knife or my spreading palette, and I'm just going to stroke across these. And I'll use my cake knife here to kind of pat it a little bit. And I'm kind of dragging it a little bit because I want these paints to kind of mix together a little bit here so that we have that anger look that I got on the original canvas. So again, I'm just kind of splattering and smashing it in to make two paintings that will be companion pieces to the anger painting that I did. And again, I'll use some of this because I have some of the orange paint left on here. So again, these will be companion pieces that will hang on the wall next to the ones that I did. And that's going on kind of a little bit of thick. You can see I've got the paints kind of in here. And of course I want to finish it by adding my punching to it. So I'm just going to punch it to allow some of these colors to kind of punch in here. And I'll I'm just punching it, making my hands all messy. And there I go. I got a couple of angry paintings here that will kind of be matching to the painting that I did. I just want to make sure I cover up some of the white that's on here. All right, so again, getting my hands all full of paint. And again, I've punched on here to make a couple of companion pieces, which are a little thicker and a little bit more involved to offset the one that I did in the beginning. And we'll take a look at this to see how this looks when I put it all together. I'm also going to take the time to take some black paint and kind of trim off the edges a little bit to give it a little bit of a finished look. So I'll let this set up for now, and then I'll put it all together and we'll take a look at it and we'll discuss the techniques that I did. Okay, now what I've done is I've put the three paintings together. I did those two side little pieces, the 11 by 14, and then of course the 16 by 20, which is right in the middle. And these will kind of hang on the wall. Now if you notice, I purposely did the two on the side darker, because what happens is when you hang this on the wall and you're approaching it from an angle, the lighter colors are going to kind of show through better than the darker colors do. So it's going to kind of all blend in together. But again, the star here is the piece that's in the middle. This piece here that's in the middle can be displayed by itself. I can frame it. I did take some black paint and use my fingers to kind of trim along the edges. I did the same thing on the others. The two companion pieces can be displayed alone. All three can be displayed in such a way where you can have the two companion pieces atop, on the bottom. You can go across here. Again, this is an abstract painting. So with abstract paintings, you can go in any direction that you want. Now, this was a technique where I basically took the canvas, sealed the canvas, put my paint on, using a palette knife and actually a cake frosting spreading knife, spread the paint on the canvas itself, patted the canvas down, and then actually took my fist and punched the canvas to kind of punch the paint in. The idea here is to try and convey anger, chaoticness, confusion, red, being mad, and doing it in such a way where it might convey to the viewer who's looking at it that this paint was done very angrily, that it's a paint that's going to emote the feeling of anger, of being in distress, of being unorganized, those kinds of things. So that's kind of the idea that I have here. So this is what I call my anger painting. It's an abstract done here by myself, Rick, at Art by Rick. I can add some lighter colors to this to lighten it up. Sometimes with an abstract painting, when you finish it, you have to let it sit for a couple of days to see how the paints settle, and then decide whether or not you want to lighten it up or darken it up or add more paint to it. There's been abstracts that I've done in the past where I've let them dry and I've looked at them for a while and said, you know something, quite honestly, excuse my language, but that sucks. It looks terrible. And I've just either scraped off the paint or repainted over it and used it for something else, or it's found its way into the trash can. And this, I don't know, we got to kind of let it sit for a while and take a look at it and see what it is and decide whether we want to keep the companion pieces on it or just do the piece that's in the middle, do it as a 3 display, do it as a single display, or, how we want to do it. Because again, it's an abstract painting. So there you go. My anger painting on this episode of Art by Rick. So next time on Art by Rick, I'm going to do a painting where I'm going to use some peaceful colors. Try to convey an idea of tranquility, of being at peace. And those will be very specific colors that I pick out to try to convey that idea. Again, the psychology of colors, using colors to try to convey an emotion to the person that's looking at it. And again, abstract paintings are up to a lot of interpretation. It depends on what the viewer sees in it. Some people will look at a painting and they'll see things that relate to them directly. Other people see things in the painting that maybe the artist didn't have the intention of doing, but that's the whole idea. And these paintings are all very simple to do. You can pick whatever colors that you want to try to convey the feeling that you want, or decorate a corner in a room, and just have some fun doing some abstract painting. My name is Rick. This has been Art by Rick. I'll see you for the next one.
Hi, I'm Jay McCormick, a board director at Nutmeg TV, your local public TV station right here in Farmington. Nutmeg TV has been an integral part of our community for over 30 years, providing a platform for residents to share stories, voice concerns, and celebrate achievements. It's a vital resource that connects us all, bringing countless local events to our TV screens. The topics are limitless and vary from being aware of scams to veterans helping veterans. Nutmeg TV continues to be here for the community. To continue this important work, we're asking for your support through a donation. Your contribution will ensure that Nutmeg TV remains a robust and relevant resource for our community. Thank you for supporting Nutmeg TV. Together, we can continue to amplify the voices and stories that make our community unique and vibrant.
To make a donation, simply visit our website at nutmegtv.com or call the office at 860-321-7405 for assistance.
Adoption is a journey, and in any parenting journey, there are difficult things and there are really great things.
We did our training through DCF, and we felt really well trained and well prepared. The social workers become like family.
We love them. They made such a huge impact in our lives. We have gotten so much support and so much love through DCF. You're never prepared for parenthood, but we felt as prepared as we could be. It's a joy that we hope others share as well. If you think that you are ready to foster or adopt, please go to ctfosters.com.
Sometimes life just happens. Don't worry. Farmington Motorsports will get you back on the road and at a fair price. From towing to tires, emissions to transmissions.
Our ASC certified techs do it all.
Farmington Motorsports is a family-run business. We're a Napa Auto Center and AAA approved. We work on all makes and models, from preventative maintenance to major repairs.
And every repair is backed by our 2-year, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty.
When life happens to you, don't worry. Farmington Motorsports.